The first thing you're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is you're going to label your paper. So I want you to put your name in the upper left-hand corner.
I'm going to write mine Mr. V.
No, you won't.
Or Mr. J.
And then you're going to name this Constructing Congruent Line Segments.
Mr. J.
And in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to put the number 1, because this is our first construction.
We're also going to have 2 today.
Yes, the goal is to get through 2 of these today. We might even get through a third, but I want to take it nice and easy and slow so that we kind of are familiar with this. All right, the first thing you need to understand about construction is your tools. You should probably be using a pencil. And, whoop, drop my compass. You're going to use a compass and a ruler, okay? A couple things about these 2 things. If you don't have a ruler, you can use your compass as a straight edge, but we are not using the numbers on these things. The numbers for these purposes do not apply. We're just using it because it's a nice flat edge, okay? If you have a ruler, great. If you don't, fine. All right, for this class. All right, so the first thing we're going to practice today is kind of getting a feel for the compass. So I want you, for the time being, to flip this first sheet over. And we're going to practice with it a little bit before we actually make our congruent line segments. So I want you, in the middle of your paper, to draw a dot. We're going to call that point A. There it is.
I don't know what the middle is. There we go. Middle is
Okay, now, on point A, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to move the slider on my compass so it's about in the middle of my compass. About the middle. That's an approximate estimation. No one has to have the exact same measurement, okay? You'll notice that your compass has 2 holes. When working with these compasses, it's very important that you pay attention to which one you're using, whether you're using the one closest to the rotating end or the one closest to the non-rotating end, okay? I'm going to place my compass over top of point A. Now notice, you can kind of see point A right through the middle here. All right? That's where I want it. I want it right in the middle. And when we're working with compasses, in order to keep the compass in place, I'm going to press my finger on there to kind of clamp it in place. You'll hear me refer to clamping your compass. That's what I mean. I want you to place your finger there to hold it there. Now, your compass is still free to move, but that end will stay fixed over top of point A. That's very important. All right. Now, take your pencil and put it inside the inside hole and try very carefully to keep your pencil upright. If you tip your pencil side to side or forward or backward, you'll probably move the slider. You need to keep your pencil upright and try to drag it in a circle like so. You can go back over top of it if you want to make it darker, or all the way around. And the goal is, and this is where it gets tricky because my hand is kind of in the way. I can rotate my finger a little bit. I want to create a full circle. So your goal right now is to create a nice full circle. This will give you kind of practice at using the compass. Okay? Now, if you let the slider slide, what you'll see is that they won't meet up. Okay, they might overlap a little bit, or it might look like there's a circle that's kind of off a little bit. You don't want that.
Yeah, that's an architect that has to tip over.
Yeah, you definitely don't want an architect that doesn't have nice circles. Be very bad.
So you wouldn't want me.
Well, I didn't say that.
So you do want me.
No, I didn't say that either. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, so I'm just going to put this at a slant. Now I'm just going to draw a line like that through my circle. put arrow points on there.
All
Just some random line.
Just a random line. Yep. You don't. Some of you don't have rulers, so it can't be that long. But it should go through your circle.
looks like an arrow up to her head.
Kind of. Though I'd rather not think about that. Okay, I'm going to point out a few things. The whole reason we use a compass and a ruler is to create what are called intersections. Okay? This right here is known as an intersection. That's important. Intersections. That's what we're trying to find when we use compasses and rulers. There's another intersection right here. So these are what we're trying to create. And when we create an intersection, we always want to label it with a point. So I created two intersections. Gentlemen, I created two intersections, so I'm going to call them X. Let me make that a nice firm X there. And Y. All right, so I have two intersection points. I've created a diameter. Does anyone want to name the diameter of this circle? Hang on, Gabby.
XY.
Yep. X, oh, that's a D. X, Y is a diameter. Anyone have a radius? A radius, Anna?
AY.
Yep, we also have radius, AY. What else? Any more radiuses, Parker?
Oh, I found another.
Hang on, Parker, hang on. Lalonde?
AX.
Yep.
And I have a question.
Hang on. Radius, AX. Parker, do you have a question about how to draw this?
You could say.
No? Okay. Lalonde?
It's about the circle in the middle.
No, Parker. Just, I don't want to get too off track. We're not going to get done today, okay?
Okay, so you know how you say that the circles are 100 degrees?
100%, 360 degrees.
So which one would that be?
What do you mean?
Like the X would be,
No. The X is just a point.
oh,
Okay, the X is just a point. It's not any degrees.
okay.
Okay, so there we go. We have just some basics down. Now, we're also going to be using our compass to make what is called some arcs. Okay, so I might decide that I want to create an arc on a line. Okay, so what I might do is I might take my compass and put it over top of a point. So let's do this. Take your compass and put it over top of the center of the circle, clamp it. Oh man, I'm having a hard time here. There we go. Now using the outside hole, just make a little arc. You don't even need to make a full circle. I just made an arc. Sometimes we'll do just that, just so that we can have an intersection point. Okay, so I made a new intersection. So I'm going to call that point Z. Okay, I think we have the basics down. What we're going to do, we're going to flip it back over. And we are going to construct congruent line segments. Okay, with your compass, I want you to draw some line segment. It doesn't matter how long it is. It can be about that long. It doesn't need to be super short, but it doesn't need to go all the way across the paper. But I can tell you right now, if you all draw a different line segment, that's okay. I'm just drawing one line segment. That's it, just one. Now, based on the title, Constructing Congruent Line Segments, what do you think my goal is going to be? Isabella?
To construct congruent line segments.
That's right. So I have one line segment. So in essence, what am I going to have to do? Caitlin?
Make another
I have to make another one exactly the same length. Very good. Very good. Okay, so this is how that works. I am going to draw down near the middle, just below the middle of the page. I'm going to draw another line, and since not all of you have a ruler, I'll do it with my compass. It's going to be the length of my compass. I'm not even going to worry about that little end part there.
Wait, so it's the length of the
Yep. It's got to be longer than the segment you are trying to copy.
Do you want the dot to be lined up?
I am going to put a dot here at the one end.
How far down does it have to be from the other one?
Well, look about, there is no definitive measurement, Parker. You kind of just got to guess based on what you see.
So, a length of this?
Yep, that's what I did. Notice my first one is shorter. My second one is longer. That's important.
Does the long one have dots on both sides?
No, this is a scribbly line because it kind of curved around and I didn't want it to.
Would you usually have a dot there?
No, we wouldn't have a dot there. Technically, if I was doing this I would just draw a line all the way across. But since we don't all have rulers, I just drew this one longer. That's all I need.
So just a dot on the...
Just a dot right here. Now I'm going to label my dots. I'm going to call this one A, B, and I'm going to call this point D. Okay, so I have A, B, and D that I'm working with. All right. Now, from this point forward, we're going to use our compass as our tool. I am going to place my compass below AB, segment AB. Okay? It doesn't have to be, it just has to be right about there. And the whole point of this is that I'm going to start to adjust my compass so that this inside hole and the center circular part here are about the length of A to B. About. It won't be exact. So I'm going to slide this down.
Wait, which hole? The inner one?
The inner one. Yep, if you look up there, I just did it. Okay? Now, if you can't use the inner one, you can use the outer one. It doesn't matter. If you're trying to follow along with me, I want to explain each of my steps.
Okay.
Now, once you have this approximate distance, place the circular part over top of A, and you don't even have to have it right on like that. I'm going to place the circular part over A and clamp. Then I'm going to place this so that it's in line with my line. You see, it's kind of, here's the line. And I'm going to adjust my slider so that one of the holes, I'm going to use the inner one, but if you can't, you can use the outer one, is right over top of B. So I have to kind of look carefully at this, okay? So there it is. And I can kind of see that it's over top of B in there. The way I check is I put my pen in here and I just draw a little arc, okay? Now see, mine didn't line up just right. See how it's kind of apart a little bit? So I need to go back and double check. Mine moved a little. I'm going to make another arc.
Through the B, not the point?
Right. Well, the point is B. They're one and the same. Now look at that. It goes right through point B. That's what I want.
Can I go like on the side of it? No, not like on the side, but like inside to on the end.
Yes, so long as it's going over top of your point. So long as your point's not huge, Parker. Your point's supposed to be tiny. Oh boy. All right, notice. Now, the careful part is the next step. You are going to unclamp, but do not touch the slider. The slider is set to be the exact distance of segment AB. So in theory, I have that measurement that's more accurate than my ruler. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide my compass down to my line below, line up the compass with point D, so you can kind of see that point D is right here. Clamp. Oh, I want to make sure it's right on there. Clamp. and just draw a little arc using the same hole and pull it off. And now I have an intersection here that I'm going to call E. And because my compass was used to measure this distance and then copy that distance, I know that AB, segment AB, is congruent to segment DE because they have the exact same measurement.
Wait. Never mind. I thought you meant to go really deep into there.
And that's how you make two congruent line segments. Now, in all honesty, you wouldn't actually have to have DE right below it. DE could be slanted, or it could be going the other direction, or it could be on an entirely separate sheet of paper. So, I'll give you an example. Architects sometimes need to make measurements from one set of blueprints to another set of blueprints. So what they do is they take a compass and they do exactly this. They'll take a measurement on one set of blueprints, then they take their compass and they transfer the measurement to another set of blueprints so that they know the measurements are exact. See, the problem with a ruler is I could measure, but what about the space between these marks? See, I could go, that's not precise enough. And then if I were to get a ruler that was a little bit more precise, there's still a space between the marks. It's not precise enough. Compasses help us with that precision. So that's why architects use them. Okay, that's our first construction. Our second construction today.
Oh, so that's all we're gonna put on that paper?
That's all you put on that paper.
I'll put Mr. B.
The second construction today is we are going to create perpendicular lines. And we're going to call this construction number 2. The first one was number 1, called constructing congruent line segments. This one's called create perpendicular lines, or construct perpendicular lines.
How many people even talk this?
Okay, the first thing we're going to do is in the very center of our paper, we are going to draw a line that's almost the entire length of our compass.
Almost?
Can I use a ruler for that?
If you used a ruler, I would typically, oh, I had a little ink splotch there.
Yep, the house is gonna be stuck.
I would typically draw a line all the way across the paper.
Well, should I do that now?
And you could. It's a little messed up on the one end, but
And you said almost the length of the compass, not the whole length.
right, because it has a tendency to wrap around the end and mess up. Though, like right here, rulers do the same thing.
Would you rather use a compass or a ruler?
Would I rather you use a compass or a ruler? I would rather you use whichever one you're more comfortable with.
What?
Okay. We need to create perpendicular lines. This is kind of fun. This is one of my favorites. So,
Are they cool?
huh?
Are they cool design?
Are they cool design? Yeah, it's kind of fun. This is one of my favorites. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a point that I'm going to call A. Make sure you label this point off to the side a little bit, not right below it and not right above it.
What about ruler?
I don't know how that
Where
question.
would the line if we're using a ruler? Like, right where you put it?
Yes.
Okay. Like, is there a certain measurement?
Nope. And just do exactly what I do.
Well, like, does it have to be perfect, like, or, like,
It has to go through the middle of your paper and it has to go from side to side or be a line right in the middle. It has to look like this.
wait, is A in the middle? Like,
That's fine. It looks like this.
like, put it, like, right there.
Your dot has to be in the middle. Parker, you are literally copying me. Okay?
Is that bad or good?
No, that's fine. You just literally need to copy what I'm doing. Okay. I want you to take your slider and I want you to put it so that the slider is about in the middle. The measurement doesn't matter. So you'll notice my slider here is right in the middle of my compass.
Oh, middle of the compass.
And I'm going to now place this compass over top of point A. I'm going to clamp it. And we're going to do like we did in our practice. We are going to use the inside hole to create a circle. Like so. Now remember what I said about the whole point of this is that we're looking for intersections. How many intersections did I just create? I created 2 of them. So we're going to label them. I'm going to call this one T. I'm going to call this one V. So you know, I am just making up the letters. There is no rhyme or reason. You could do X, you could do Y, you could do R, you could do D. It doesn't matter. You could put P if you're... No. We don't want to put offensive things on our papers, Parker. Okay? All right. The next thing that we're going to do, and this is why I love this one so much, is it's kind of cool, is we need a point that's going to line up with A so that we can draw a perpendicular line. Okay, so without drawing anything, I'm even going to set my writing utensil down. I'm just going to kind of start thinking about how this could work. My perpendicular line will be somewhere right about there. Okay? However, if I try to free draw it, it may be off by a 1/2 degree, a 1/4 degree, and that's not okay. I need it to be exactly perpendicular. So, that's why the construction is important. However, in order to create a line, I need at least 2 points. So, I'm going to have a point either out here or out here that I can line up with A so I can draw this line. So that's what we're going to create. We're going to create a point out here or out here. And actually in this case, we're going to create both so that we can line up all the points and draw a perpendicular line. So that's what we're going to do. And so let me show you how to do this. Take your compass and just move the slider out a little bit. Just move it out a little bit. Doesn't matter how far. That's the cool part. Now, instead of putting your compass over top of A, we are going to put it over top of T. And I'm going to clamp it. And I'm going to use the inside hole like I have been using. And I'm going to draw an arc that goes like that. Now the important part is that that arc kind of go through the area below A. And it's also important that that arc, I'm going to extend it, go above A. So it's going to kind of look like that.
Do we need to move the little wedgie mover thingy that's in the middle of it?
This is the slider?
Yeah.
No. Not unless you... I just explained, and I can't go back, unfortunately, that I moved it out a little bit from the first circle I drew. Okay?
So just a little?
I moved it out just a little because I want it not to go through A. I want it to be over here somewhere.
Like me.
Now, shh. This distance that I have here from T to my new arc is the same distance that I am now going to do, but instead of over T, I'm going to do it over V. So literally, hear me out. I'm doing the exact same thing, but instead of using T, I'm using V. So I'm going to clamp it down on V, inside hole, and I draw another arc. Now lines are starting to cross, which is fine. The cool part about this one, though, is that kind of looks like a little bit of a fish somewhere in there. Did I create any intersections above and below A that I could use? Caitlin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I created one here, and I created one here. I'm going to call that B. I'm going to call this one D.
Didn't you create it right here and here?
These ones don't matter so much. Though those are, yes, you are correct, those are intersections. I want the ones directly above and below A. So now I have all my lines, all my points, I mean. I can line them up, and I can draw a line through BAD. Ain't that bad. And now I have two perpendicular lines, line BD and line TB. So I'm going to draw a right angle symbol right there. And that's how I create perpendicular lines. And it actually looks really cool too.
That did look really cool.
It does look really cool.
Looks like a nuclear bomb.
It doesn't look like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, that's,
I guess if you have an imagination, which you do, then that I could see it, sort of. Not.
it looks like a nuke grenade.
Okay. That is our second construction for today, and that's where we're going to stop for today.
That's cool.
Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. Today's construction is going to be called constructing an equilateral triangle. Okay, the first thing we're going to do to construct an equilateral triangle is we are going to go ahead and create the base of our triangle. It doesn't have to be very big. In the very center of our sheet. Notice it's not big. Okay? It's not even a third of a piece of paper long. Now, triangles have how many points? Anna? 3. I have 2 points already, okay? So I'm going to call this point A, and I'm going to call this point B. Those are points I already have. So how many points do I need to make an equilateral triangle? Gretchen?
1.
I only need to construct 1 point. Okay, only 1 point. Now, I know that the length of AB is going to be indicated by this dashed line right here. Okay, that's the length of AB. What is unique about an equilateral triangle? What is unique about it? Yeah, Elizabeth.
All sides are the same.
All sides and angles are the same. Interesting. So, does anyone want to take a guess at what we might do to start this process? Anyone want to take a guess? This is a real tough question, so if you answer wrong, that's fine. I'm just looking for anything. Anna.
Would you start by drawing a straight line straight up from the little dash mark that you made in the center of the line or something?
Okay.
That could like point out
Where the other point
where
could
the
possibly
other
be?
points- Yeah.
Okay.
meet and stuff.
All right, Anna, I see what you're coming at. I can't use that dash, though, because I didn't construct that dash. I just drew it on there. So to construct something, we're going to use our compass. So what could I do with my compass? That was a great suggestion, though. And thank you for contributing it. I'm scared to ask that person. So, anybody else? Gabby? And how could I do that? What kind of measurement what do we need? I mean, remember, equilateral triangle has all the sides that are the same. So what do I need to do here? Lalonde?
You need to make like all the sides the same.
As which segment?
Like A and B.
Yup.
Draw a line down and make them both the same length.
Okay, so how do we find, if we have a compass, how do I measure, without using the numbers, the length of AB? How do I do that? Gretchen? Oh, yeah, you're right. That slider, right? So if I put one end over A, then what do I do? What do you think? Put one end over A, and then what? Yeah, Elizabeth Lalonde?
The other over B.
Okay, what other one? I've got two here. Does it matter?
The back one over B.
Okay, I'm gonna use this one. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna put that one over B. All right, that's cool. So I'm just gonna draw a little arc. Does that go through B?
Yeah.
It does. Okay, but I need the mark where? Where do I need this third point at? Where do I need the third point? Isabella, what do you think? For an equilateral triangle, I need the point like way up in this corner? Right here?
No.
No? Do I need it down in this corner?
No.
Do I need it way over here? No. Where do I need it? For an equilateral triangle, where do I need the third point to be? Mackenzie?
Like right at the center top of the line.
Oh, right at the very center top. Well, I have the measurement here with my compass. What if I were to just extend the arc to the center top? Okay? Hey, because that right there, to some point up here, is going to be the exact distance I need. But I don't know where the exact point is. So what could I do? I kind of got the idea here. Yeah, Anna?
Do the same thing.
Do the same thing?
Point, like, I can't.
No, that's okay. You're on the right track. Continue.
I don't know how to put in words.
You do. You do. Do the same thing. Look at my compass.
Yeah, put the compass over point B.
Yeah.
And arc through point A.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that the measurement's the same exact thing again. Okay, so line it up. I think you're on the right track here. Make sure I'm going through point A. I am. Hey, do I now have an intersection?
Yes.
Yeah, I have an intersection. Is that right above AB where Mackenzie said it should be? Is that it is. It is. And if I connect that point to A, well, by golly, George, that looks really close to AB in length. And if I connect that point to B, well, by golly, George, that looks really close to AB too. And as a matter of fact, that's an equilateral triangle. That is definitely an equilateral triangle. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to create an equilateral triangle below this equilateral triangle, but using AB as the top of the triangle. So you're going to create a point below AB now so that you have two equilateral triangles that are connected. Okay? And if you need help, I'll be moving around the room. You're going to create one. See where I created this point up above AB?
Yeah.
I want you to do the same thing below AB.
Oh, so we're creating a point in the same spot.
Same spot, but below AB. So down here somewhere.
So like, yeah, this is
Okay? Go ahead and take a moment and do that. Here we go. We are going to continue with our equilateral triangle by constructing an equilateral triangle below this one. I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing. I'm going to extend my arcs so now they're below. Like so. Put my dot there. And now connect the dots. I'm going to call this one C. I'm going to call this one D. Now because this is an equilateral triangle, these sides have to be the same as well. What can you tell me about this figure right here? What can you tell me about a four-sided quadrilateral that has all the same sides? Let me highlight it for you so you can see it. Let me highlight it. What can you tell me about that figure right there? Lalonde?
Diamond.
Well, it is a diamond if it's like that.
Oh.
But what about like this?
Square.
Caitlin, this is a rhombus. Okay? So actually, I'm going to turn it upright, and I'm just going to draw a little arrow, not constructed, but drawn. That's a rhombus.
Do we have to draw this to highlight?
That's a rhombus. How interesting. I love that. What can you tell me about these two sides of the rhombus? What can you tell me about those? Yeah. They're parallel. Yeah. So if you ever wanted to construct parallel lines, you have them right here. I'm just drawing dotted lines to kind of show you. Those are parallel lines. There's all kinds of little hidden things in these constructions. Parallel lines. It's kind of cool. All right, we're done with this one. We're going to call it number 3. So we've copied a segment. We've constructed a perpendicular line. We've created equilateral triangles, which in turn created a rhombus and parallel lines. We didn't even try to do that. That's kind of cool. Okay. Elizabeth?
Like, I mean this in the best way possible, like not trying to be rude, but what's like the goal?
The goal is so that you can understand the interworkings of the angles and lines. So when you get to high school and your diagrams are immensely complex, you will notice these patterns in angles and constructions and lines and segments and figures, and you'll be able to identify figures like rhombuses and equilateral triangles, and be able to apply them to more complex ideas for proofs and other definitions and things like of that nature. So that if you ever decide to ever go into any kind of designer work, whether it be interior design, architectural design, fashion design, engineering, architectural, firms, etc., that you will have the basic skills in design necessary to identify patterns and triangles and lines and angles and things like that.
What's the question that you would have to have this answer for?
There's no questions here. This is just pure creativity.
Oh, I've seen my, I've seen my sister do this and it's really complex, so this is just easy to
Do
put
you?
together.
So what's your question, Izzy? Izzy, I don't got all day and I've got to move on. What's up?
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay, let's move on. We are going to finally end with creating congruent angles. Yes. This was number 3. Yes, number 3. All right. It is oftentimes necessary for us to need or create congruent angles. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to create congruent angles. I'm going to start by creating an angle that I need to copy. Okay, so
Wait, what is this one titled?
that is a great question. I should probably do that. Mr. B. Congruent angles. I'm going to call this number 4. Congruent angles. I'm going to create one angle.
Doesn't matter how you make it.
It doesn't. I would make it relatively acute. I would not use a right angle. This angle has several points. For now, we're just going to leave it like this. Like so. I want to copy this angle. It's a beautiful angle. I want to make a copy. Okay? The first thing I need to do, however, is I need to figure out, okay, what is the distance or what is the angle between these lines? And there's several ways we can do this. I am going to start by creating a line like this that I can copy that angle to. So I'm going to call this point A, and I am going to copy point A to point X. Okay? So A is going to move to X. So those are the same points.
Does this need to be sort of long?
Well, I put X almost in the middle of the page for a reason. And I kept this down away from the top for a reason. All right, first things first. We can't copy this angle. We cannot copy this angle until I have other points that I can use to create an angle. Angles usually have how many points? 3. Say what? No, it's not. Angles have 3 points. Okay? So instead of just putting the points on the angle, I want to make sure those points are the exact same distance from point A. How could I do that? How could I make sure that the points on my angle are the exact same distance from A? Savannah? Well, what's it called? It starts with an A and ends with RC. R-A-R-C. Arc. We're going to create an arc. And we're not talking about an animal arc.
I'm telling you, that was nothing.
Okay? So here we go. I'm going to slide my compass up and clamp it on point A. And here's what I need to do. I need to make sure that I pick a point that is going to draw an arc that goes over both lines. So this point right here will work fine. The distance doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I am not going to take my compass off yet. Okay? All I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that arc like so. Now, everything we do from this point forward has to be duplicated because we're creating congruent angles. So if I make an arc on my original, I have to make that exact same arc on my new one as well. So I created this arc. I'm going to transfer that exact same arc to the top. And draw that same arc. Whatever I do on the two, I'm going to do them the same. Mackenzie, how many points did I create by putting this arc on this bottom angle? I created 2. Very good. I created one here and here. I'm going to call this point B. I'm going to call this point C. Now, I did create one up here. I'm going to call that point Y. Y is the same point as which one on my original? So as A is where X is, Y is which one? Yeah, Caitlin?
B.
Yeah, Y is going to be the same position as B. So which one do we now have to recreate? Gretchen? C. Yeah, we have to recreate C. Okay? Well, there's a couple things here that are difficult. C is there because the line is there. I don't have that line. Can I measure the distance between any of the points down here? I've already measured between A and C. That's where this arc came from. So what could I measure new? Between which 2 points? Mackenzie?
A and C, right?
I did measure between A and C. That was where this arc came from. So what's that leave me with? Well, A and B I've already measured too with this same arc. Yeah, I can measure the distance between C and B. So I put my compass on B, and I move my slider so that it's over C. I draw a little arc just to make sure it's in the right spot. Hey, there it is. Okay? That's good. Now, everything I do when I'm creating congruent images, I have to duplicate. So I put my compass on B, which means I've got to put my compass on Y. Now I'm going to draw the same arc like I did. Put a point here I'm going to call Z. So this arc and that arc are the same. Very good, Parker. So I'm going to do what, Parker? I'm going to draw a line where?
Z to X.
Z to X.
Beautiful. Exactly like it.
In that case, it's ugly.
Parker says beautiful, just like me. Must be pretty ugly, then.
I am going to highlight two things here. This arc and this arc are the same. And that's important. That's the key step in this one. All right. That's number 4. I know. Here's what I want you to do. You can do this on a scrap piece of paper or whatever. Okay? It's kind of like a bonus.
Wait, extra credit?
Got extra credit.
We do it on the back.
Huh?
We do it on the back.
This one doesn't work though.
I don't know.
You say yes.
Huh?